Welcome back to Top 5.
The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets of Los Angeles as two unlikely teams prepared for an unexpected showdown. The air was thick with tension and anticipation, a before-the-storm stillness enveloped the area. On one side stood the formidable duo of Maggie McPherson, the fierce and sharp-witted prosecutor from The Lincoln Lawyer, and John Hartigan, a battle-hardened ex-cop and hero from Sin City. Across from them were the twisted villains Bane, the powerhouse who once broke the Batman and thrived on chaos, and Jimmy Crystal, a cunning crime boss with a knack for manipulation. The battleground was an abandoned warehouse, a fitting arena for a contest of wills and strength. Inside, the remnants of past conflicts lay strewn about, broken crates, fractured glass, and peeling paint, which served as witness to a myriad of unspoken stories. Maggie and Hartigan had received word that Bane and Crystal were plotting something nefarious that would endanger the city. With no time to waste, they strategized to confront the duo before any damage could be done. Maggie paced rhythmically, her mind racing with thoughts of justice and strategy, while Hartigan stood stoically, scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. Both knew their opponents well. Bane's brute strength was legendary, but Jimmy Crystal's sharp mind and devious plots could turn the tide in an instant. They had to work together and utilize their unique strengths to outmaneuver and overpower their foes. At the opposite end of the warehouse, Bane loomed like a looming shadow, his muscles bulging beneath his distinctive mask. He exuded a sense of unshakable confidence, calculating the game in his mind. Beside him, Crystal adjusted his slick suit, a smirk dancing on his lips. He knew that while Bane was the brute force, his cunning was what often sealed the deals. Together, they made a potent combination, a blend of strength and intellect that had decimated their enemies in the past. "Ready," Maggie whispered, instinctively knowing that any moment of hesitation would be their undoing. "Ready as I'll ever be," Hartigan replied, his voice steady despite the imminent storm. With a determined nod, they burst into action, darting through the warehouse doors, their entrance marked by an echoing clang that reverberated off the walls. The lights flickered ominously, casting an eerie glow as the confrontation began. "Look who it is." "The Law and Order Brigade," Crystal jeered, his voice laced with derision. "You think you can stop us?" Bane cracked his knuckles, his voice a deep rumble. "You are outmatched." Maggie took a breath, steadying her nerves. She had fought for justice in a courtroom, and now the stakes were higher. "We're not afraid of you. You and your schemes end here." With that, the battle ignited. Hartigan charged at Bane, channeling every ounce of his street-fighting experience. He threw a series of powerful punches, each one landing like thunder against Bane's body. But Bane was well prepared, countering with raw strength that sent Hartigan staggering back. Gritting his teeth, Hartigan regained his balance, instinctively reaching for the taser he concealed at his hip. In a flash of movement, he pulled it out, aiming for Bane's unprotected areas. At the same time, Maggie squared off against Crystal. She was quick on her feet, dodging one of his rapid blows designed to disorient her. Crystal's combat style was slick and deceptive. He weaved like a snake, striking with surprising agility for a man of his stature. Yet, Maggie wasn't just a prosecutor, she had trained in self-defense, and her days of standing in court had crafted a keen sense of timing and reflexes. She parried his attacks, looking for openings, and finally landed a punch that sent Crystal reeling backward. "Is that all you've got?" she spat, though she knew that underestimation was the path to failure. As the battle raged, Bane stopped Hartigan's charge with an earth-shattering punch, sending him crashing through a pile of crates. Splinters flew, adding to the chaos. But Hartigan quickly rolled to his feet, adrenaline surging as he focused on recovering his footing. He needed to regroup with Maggie, and he caught sight of her just as Crystal aimed a sneaky blow towards her vulnerable side. "Maggie! Watch out!" Hartigan shouted, lunging to intercept as he hurled himself in between them. The force of their collision sent Hartigan sprawling, but not before Maggie had time to recover. With Hartigan taking the brunt of the blow, Maggie seized the moment. Using a series of well-practiced moves, she engaged Crystal head-on. Her form was flawless as she delivered a combination of strikes, her sharp mind calculating each flow, exploiting Crystal's predictable patterns. She grabbed an empty metal pipe from the ground, swinging it like a weapon to keep him at bay. "I've gone against tougher foes than you," she taunted, swinging with precision and power, keeping him off balance. Bane, however, was a different beast. He lumbered toward Hartigan, a relentless force who hadn't come this far to lose. Hartigan took a breath and steadied himself, dodging as Bane charged. He maneuvered toward a stack of cargo, using it as a barrier while searching for an opening. At the same time, Maggie had successfully knocked Crystal down temporarily, but she could see Bane breathing down Hartigan's neck. "John! Get back," she yelled as she rushed to help him. In that pivotal moment, Hartigan found a moment of clarity. He reached into his jacket and produced a small canister, a flash grenade, a relic of his old police days meant to create confusion. He tossed it towards Bane just as Maggie disarmed Crystal, delivering a stunning uppercut that sent her opponent reeling. The grenade exploded in a blinding flash, sending a shockwave through the warehouse. Bane staggered. Hartigan seized the opportunity and delivered a series of swift body blows before targeting Bane's knee. The powerful villain fell back, fighting to maintain his balance. "Now, Maggie!" Hartigan yelled, adrenaline coursing through him. Maggie launched herself towards Bane, fully aware this was their chance. She executed a daring maneuver that had been practiced in countless self-defense classes, spinning around with a kick aimed at the massive villain's face. The impact knocked him back further, and Hartigan pushed aggressively forward, slamming his fists into Bane's side before retreating just in time to avoid a devastating counter. Feeling the tide of battle shift, Maggie turned her attention back to Crystal, who had regained composure. "You think you can compete?" she exclaimed, launching into another flurry of strikes. Just when she thought she had Crystal pinned, he twisted with surprising agility and swung a fist at her head, but Maggie ducked in time, countering with a hard elbow to his gut. The ferocity of their exchanges escalated to a fever pitch. In a decisive moment, Maggie tackled Crystal to the ground, holding him down with all her weight. Crystal thrashed, yet Maggie had the upper hand through sheer will and determination. Meanwhile, Hartigan kept his focus on Bane, whose massive physique was relentless, but he was noticeably slowing. Hartigan moved like a shadow, he exploited every weakness, delivering hard-hitting blows that chipped away at Bane's resolve. The sheer willpower of the duo began to break the villain's guard. "Together now," Hartigan called, and Maggie nodded, fighting to keep Crystal pinned down. With one last effort, Hartigan charged Bane, and in a brilliant moment of collaboration, Maggie sprang off Crystal, launching herself high and delivering a stunning kick that connected with Bane's jaw as Hartigan simultaneously threw a right hook into Bane's gut. The wall-rattling collision had the desired effect. Bane, finally overwhelmed, fell to the ground, unable to continue the fight. With Crystal still attempting to get free, Maggie delivered one last punch that effectively knocked him out of the equation. With their foes incapacitated, Hartigan and Maggie stood side by side, catching their breath in the aftermath. Breathing heavily, Maggie looked at Hartigan. "Did we just win?" With a grin, Hartigan replied, "Looks like Bane and Crystal underestimated us. Justice prevails." As the sun dipped completely below the horizon, darkness took hold of the warehouse, with the two heroes standing triumphant over their defeated adversaries. They had not only fought for justice but had reaffirmed their belief in teamwork and determination in the face of overwhelming odds. In the heart of Los Angeles, justice had indeed prevailed.